Hey, welcome back to Planet Hex. I'm Andrew Horns. Have you noticed of late that it's becoming increasingly difficult to be a fan of anything, movies, games, comic books, TV shows, anything, without someone diving down your throat on social media to tell you you're wrong and why the thing that you enjoy is terrible? Yeah, pretty much every fandom I have seen lately for a long time now is made up solely of people arguing. And that's really unpleasant. It is damaging fandoms. It is damaging these intellectual properties. It is indeed damaging the very things that you're arguing about. Let's take a look about what people are saying online about toxic fandoms. So, fans arguing about stuff isn't a new phenomenon, but it has definitely escalated to a seriously unpleasant level over the last few years. So I used to be a member of lots of bulletin boards back in the day, forums and things like that. And yeah, we would get into heated discussions about things like music and films and TV and games and comic book characters and science fiction and so on. But it never got to the level that it's at now, where as soon as anyone posts something, any company posts something like, check out the trailer to this, there are laugh emojis all over it, and there's people bickering in the comments straight away that it's this, that, or the other. It's not what they wanted, but this is at the detriment of everyone else's enjoyment. It is damaging how people perceive cult and genre material. It is damaging how people see gamers. It's damaging how people see comic books, and it's damaging just in general. It's damaging our culture by us just arguing needlessly over things. Some really, quite vile examples recently have been like the Superman film with David Corenswet, with all the Snyder Bros complaining about it. Although Superman, starring David Corenswet and directed by James Gunn, is literally the most accurate Superman movie that has ever been made. Feel free to argue in the comments. I'm a huge fan of the Christopher Reeve era, but this is the closest to a DC comic book that we've ever had on screen. It is the most costume accurate, the powers, the storylines. It's the closest a DC comic has ever got to being properly on screen. And people have got annoyed about it because Superman shows empathy and so on. It's Superman. Before, as great as Henry Cavill was great. He was just in really bad films. Superman existed since 1938. So there's generations that know better than the Snyder Bros, personally speaking. But I'm not going to get too personal about the stuff that I like myself, because I know people will just complain, because that's what people are doing at the moment, and there is no need for it. There seems to be a lack of understanding that people are allowed to like different things and prefer different things and have their own preferences. And, cinema and TV and everything has changed drastically. So referring to the numbers taken by old films, or the number of episodes of things made, or the reach of TV shows now, when compared to back in the day, it's a completely different playing field. It's a different medium than it was even 5 years ago. Things are very different now. But anyway, this has been going on for a few years now, but it has reached a point where it is actually damaging things that we enjoy and that fans are enjoying. So let's see what people have said for the last few years over this. This interested me because it was on BBC Bite Size. Why can fans be so negative about the thing they love? Now, for any UK parents, you'll be familiar with Bite Size, especially following the COVID era. BBC Bite Size was a very handy educational tool when we were doing all the homeschooling. But the fact that it's even got over to Bite Size, there's an article here about when fandom becomes negative. Why can it feel like fan versus fan? It tells you a lot about these things that are supposed to be for entertainment, supposed to be shared and enjoyed by people. That there's an element online saying, no, you can't enjoy that because it's not what I like. And that's really silly. Very, very silly. But that's an interesting piece over on BBC Bitesize. Why can fans be so negative about the thing they love? I'm asking myself that a lot lately. That's why I'm doing this video. Over on medium.com, great site, medium.com. If you ever want to have a look at some different takes on things, Medium is a really good place for it. Great piece here. How toxic fandom ruins it for everyone. That's the thing. The people complaining vociferously against anything that others enjoy and they don't, is ruining it for everyone. We have had, just for as an example, like with the MCU, that is now being berated left, right, and centre. The MCU cannot do anything right in some people's eyes. I think it still can. It's still got a lot to offer. But after the Infinity Saga ended, and they started doing more different things that weren't part of, that overarching particular story. Yes, there's a multiverse saga, but the Infinity Saga was over, and they couldn't do anything right for anyone. Yeah, the films have been hit and miss. The TV stuff has been impressive, really impressive, but the film stuff has been hit and miss. But it did not warrant the level of negativity shown to it. And this is a good piece that examines that over on Medium. We've also got whenitwascool.com. Toxic fandom is killing everything we love. There's a good example. There's Kylo Ren from Star Wars, from the Star Wars sequels. Yes, the Star Wars sequels were not what everyone wanted. Force Awakens was fine, but essentially a remake of Episode 4. The Last Jedi went in a very different direction to what a lot of people wanted, and thus it got a lot of hate. Rise of Skywalker was again panned because it was trying to course correct things that they wanted fans to enjoy. They didn't really enjoy about The Last Jedi. I like those sequels. I like them. I like the prequels. I like the originals. They've all got something different to offer. The sequel trilogy was a bit all over the place, but again, did not deserve all of the hatred aimed at it. Deserves some of it, not all of it. There's no need to go and be quite so extreme about things. There's a piece here over on Mashable.com, good old Mashable. Social media feeds toxic fandoms. Is there a solution? Yeah, they're asking the question there. With social media fueling toxic fan behaviour, can fandom really discover genuine connection? I think it can. But I think fandoms need to kind of come together and self-police more and not accept these things. I saw some posts by I can't remember the guy's name. I'm sorry about that. Who does comic book related stuff, and he said, right, this is the point where everything changes, and we're not letting anyone rip into people about things they have no control over. They're not going to let people be toxic, and you will be banished. You'll be blocked from fandom, and there does need to be more of that sort of policing. People saying, actually, calm down. I think anyway, that is a personal opinion, that fandoms need to call out this negativity, because all it results in is things just getting cancelled, things not getting made or finished, or things coming out in a very different fashion to what they were originally intended. And that, again, is damaging to the source material. When the source material is so highly loved, people do stuff that differs from it, be it casting. You know who you are, people complaining about casting for stupid reasons. Stop it. Grow up. That's me being a bit YouTubey and putting an opinion across. But again, we are allowed those opinions. And you're entirely entitled to opinions that differ from mine. But to argue the point to the point where you're damaging the properties that you are supposedly defending, you need to kind of calm down a bit. Let's have a look at a few others here. We've got over on, over on EW.com. Heated rivalry creator addresses toxic fandom. We have a non-white lead. I think that's important. That's an obvious one where people are complaining about, this should not be something that comes up. This should always be focusing on whether or not the cast member has the appropriate skills to tackle that character, regardless of any other factor about them. Stranger Things shamefully becomes latest victim of toxic fandom. This is a piece from January this year. Stranger Things 5. I loved that series. I loved that season. And it just seems to be being treated like the last series of Game of Thrones, which had a stupid ending, apparently. Never watched Game of Thrones. Never will. Sorry. But there doesn't need to be this level of hatred towards something that hundreds of people poured their time, energy, and skills into. Not to mention enormous budgets. When people are just complaining about it for little things that they have no control over and shouldn't really have any point in being given the time of day. But the problem is with social media, everyone has that platform. Everyone has the ability to put an argument across. What I would like to see is, feel free. Argue all you like about different properties, about different series, about different movies, about whatever you want. That's a very pointed one there on a nofilmschool.com. But don't attack things. Don't attack other users. These people are, they've grown up, they've put their money down to see these things and enjoy these things, just like everyone else has. And the fact that your opinion differs and you don't really have an understanding of how things have changed in the industry over the last few years, it only serves to damage these things. Remember the time where we didn't have any superhero content, that we didn't have much sci-fi stuff, we didn't have many cult TV shows. We had a few things here and there, or things that didn't last. People leaving fandoms deemed toxic. See, people are leaving things behind. And it is damaging. It's going to end up destroying the stuff that we've grown up wanting to have around us. Granted, not all the material is great, but it will always have an audience. I just want people to be all right with each other. I like a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't. I like a lot of junk. Believe me, I like a lot of rubbish. And I'm proud of that fact, and I acknowledge that. But when I see some stuff that's really high quality, and yet people will try and destroy it, just because it doesn't fit with their own personal set of circumstances or requirements for something that they will find entertaining, I go on the defensive. And sometimes, I'm not innocent of this. I do join in with some of these threads, but I think it's important to have positivity heard in these circumstances as well. Over on the post there, we've got that one about people skipping fandoms, and over on the collegiate here, we've got why we can't have nice things. Fandom's toxic relationship with diversity and change. This is a really good example. Ironheart, really well made show, but it got so much stick, and people are using the old chestnut bad writing or lazy writing when they're just trying to cover up the fact they don't like the cast, they don't like where it's set, that sort of thing. But it doesn't need to be like that. It doesn't need to be like that at all. We can just get along. And I think it's time for fandoms of many types, including the ones that I'm part of, to grow up a bit and back off. We're all in this stuff together. We're all fans of weird stuff. We're all fans of cult things. We're all fans of, niche properties that become TV shows or films or games or books or whatever they could become. And we need to just remember, people like different stuff for different reasons. And that's not going to change. What needs to change is how fandoms are approaching putting across their own opinion. I've been a film critic, I've been a columnist, I've written for many websites about this, that, and the other, where I've been able to openly criticize things, but you need to do it with a sense of reality. So you can say, I didn't like this didn't work for me, not that it doesn't work at all. There are some cases of that, but for the most part, these things aren't meant to appeal to every person. They are meant to appeal to as wide an audience as they can manage. Let's just back off. Let's get back to these things being fun. We are all playing in the same toy box after all. I'm Andrew Hunt. Thank you for watching this episode of Planet Hex.